Welcome to the Winnie Podcast. This show is focused on empowering ranchers. Whether you're a seasoned rancher or just getting started, we'll guide you on how to use the infinite banking concept as an alternative way to finance your operations. It's a better way to think about money. Join us as we discuss planning for the future, attracting the next generation, and the art of keeping more money within the family. Here's your hosts, Winnie and Lacy.
Welcome in. We are back for another episode. And as the day of this recording here in Edmonton, Alberta, it is the first snowfall in the winter of 2025. I don't know if that's happening down south there for you, Miss Lacy.
No snow, but we did get a little bit of rain and a little further west freezing rain. So I think the highway's at a standstill. So days like today, I'm really grateful that I work from home.
Yeah. And in talking about being grateful, we are grateful to do what we do. Earlier on this week, there was some news that came out. There are some laws that got passed in Canada around the fact that cloned meat is now allowed on the market. Although I feel like it was already on the market and not necessarily talked about. There's been a couple times too where like even my daughter, she's like, this meat is so weird. It doesn't behave like chicken, but it's been marketed as chicken. And the same with beef. And that just lands with me in such a wrong way in the sense of what is that? Number one, what does that mean for the agricultural community to have this happen to? And also the amount of power we have somehow allowed as a Canadian community for the government to have. And so I think it's become unhealthy to a certain degree. Before I go on a bit of a rant, because I was talking about it with Lacy just the other day, but I really want to get your take on that when you and Reed heard the news about this.
So I'm not one that turns on the news often, but there were a couple things that were going on in the world over the past couple of weeks that I wanted to just see, was there any reports on it? What was being said about it? And so I came across exactly that, like the cloned meat topic. And then someone saying, this was on social, someone saying, you know what? I think I actually have eaten cloned meat or purchased it without knowing and realizing what I'd purchased. And so it can be so overwhelming whenever there's so much noise that it begins to be like, one, what do we believe? What's true and what's not true? Who should we listen to and who should we not listen to? And it can sometimes leave you with a feeling of I can speak for myself, feeling deflated and feeling like, what are we supposed to do about it? It's not like we can march over there and tell them to stop doing things like this and that they're actually going to listen. So what can we do? What can little old me over here in my four walls do to make a difference or to make a change?
I think as we age, I find that I just become more aware of the things that I really care about. And also, there's only so much life energy to go around. When I started hearing about cloned meat and all that, certainly short of becoming a politician myself, which I do not want to do, there's only so many things that we can really stand behind and really put our life energy to make a difference. And I think it's always been a bit of a double-edged sword with the agricultural community that love it or hate it. There's a lot of cross relationships, especially around financing and Health Canada for the agricultural industry to continue moving forward, right? Because there's grants and there's, loans that are often given out by the government. And then, of course, they set the standards for about what can be sold and not sold and all of that sort of stuff. So I feel like what we do around sharing the infinite banking concept as a mindset of like how one goes about managing their finances, but also it is the way that we think that allows us to aim towards how do you make needing money from the bank and needing money from the government as a secondary plan as opposed to the primary plan. Having autonomy around what can be on the marketplace and also protecting your livelihood, especially for all of those that are in the beef industry, like being able to protect your livelihood. It requires a certain amount of being able to hold your own financially, sustainably over a long period of time. What I always appreciated about what Nelson talked about, this is actually a quiet and grassroots level solution. And it starts with us, family by family, ranch by ranch, operations by operations. The more that each and every one of you in this industry who can work towards being financially self-sustainable will allow you, I think, as a collective group to be able to put your dollars where you really want them to go and be able to prevent some of the things. But in the meantime, someone like myself in the city, right, where I don't have direct access to beef right away and I don't have all the relationships or the skill set to actually like cut my own meat and stock it myself. So for me in the city and for all of you who are also in the city listening to this, the best thing that we can do right now is go to the farmers markets, work directly with those ranches that sell meat to us directly and support them, because then you know exactly where it's coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of to the point where I feel like Ottawa is going to do what they want to do. Stopping them seems like a feat that maybe is impossible. So how can we make it different? You hear this saying all the time, if you ate today, thank a farmer. And I know that the steer that we raised and butchered is not cloned meat. And I can be confident in what I'm feeding my family. Everybody has that choice, right? Like you said, the farmer's market. We have friends at Gemstone Beef who offer direct to consumer beef that you can custom order, right? And actually, they just started a program where you can custom order a quarter of a beef, half a beef, full beef. So they're even expanding in that way because, let's just face it, like we have 2 teenage boys. There's 5 of us in this house and we go through a full steer every year. So bigger families, yeah, you go through more. So it does come down to what can we do to make that small difference? And it's in every area of our life. It's in the food that we eat. How can we support the farmers and ranchers so that we can continue to have the choice to not eat? I'm not eating cloned meat. I'm sorry. You're not going to make me eat it. Stop with your agendas. And like, we have the right to put our foot down and stand up for what we believe is right and still make choices for ourselves. And it comes down to choices in everything, actually, even our finances. Like, to, all of our listeners, every single one of you have the choice to explore what IBC is and how it can change your life, and to start making those small changes one by one step at a time, to becoming financially self-reliant and to take back that control so that they're not making choices for us. Like, yeah. Oh, it just gets me fired up.
Yeah, here to that. When all is said and done, it's like when we are fed up with something happening, the quickest way is to stop doing business with that person. Although it's not the same here in this case because the government is huge. The banking industry is huge. It's infused in everything we do in this Canadian community. It used to be that the government was working for us. They'd be able to hear our voices. And the more that we want the government to step in, the more that we as Canadians lose control over having our say in what actually matters. It's way too overwhelming to try to even go to a protest. It says a lot to be a part of a huge protest and get on the news and you see all of these things happening. But at the end of the day, what is the most powerful way is to actually do what you absolutely have control over, which is to change your financial autonomy so that it works better for you and your operations. And it's hard to change the way that you go about financing your life. but it's also hard to continue to do what you're doing if you're constantly at the mercy of somebody else. So we'll say it again, choose your heart. It's hard to make a change, but it's hard to stay the same. Is it a valuable use of your time to walk through the process of learning what this is about? There is no shortcut. There is no 5-minute elevator pitch around how this can change your life. It's up to you to really learn about this. It is a lifestyle change.
I had a conversation with a young person just yesterday, actually. And I said, come on, smile. And their response to me was, you can't smile when you're working. And I was like, what? Yes, you can. If you find something that you love and that you're so passionate about, you'll never work again in your life. And I just thought, like, showing up every single day, teaching infinite banking to the farmers and ranchers, showing them how they can start taking those little steps to take back that control. I do work every day with a smile on my face because it's just something that I'm passionate about, and I believe that I'm here to do that. And so if we can help families make that small change step by step and lead them along the way, even when I'm managing my own set of policies, my own system of policies, every single time I'm doing something that gives me that little more control over the bank, it puts a smile on my face. Because how many times have we talked about this too? It's disempowering to go to the bank. It feels invasive. And even when we start talking about, like, there are so many things that we need, especially when you live rural, you need a reliable vehicle. You know what people are being faced with now? They can't afford a $120,000 vehicle. There's vehicles up to $145,000. And do you need a $145,000 vehicle? Probably not. But that's what they're being faced with.
And we're being faced with vehicles that are made to be obsolete in a much quicker period of time. When you are living rurally, a vehicle is needed unless there's like a whole market that's developed around what you can wear and tote around with an electrical bike in the middle of winter. That's just short of that, like, that's not going to happen. And no differently, I mean, not only is the cost of vehicles going up, the cost of land, the cost of housing, and that is something else that, you know, Lacy and I get to offer up as a solution. Like, but it has to start with you. It has to start somewhere so that we can help ourselves, but also our next generation and our future generations to be able to overcome the cost of living. I always know it's like every time people really start finding out, the people who really do take the time to trudge down this road and see how this works, every single time it's like, man, I wish my parents started this so I can really benefit. My kids are going to get the better end of the deal.
It starts with us and you know, be the change, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And with the price of land, the cost of living, all of the things, the question becomes, how are the young people, how are they even going to start? What can we build today so that the next generation has a chance? There was one client I was talking with, and years ago, they sold some land and gave the siblings some cash because that's what they felt like they needed to do. But I'm here thinking, what can we do so that we don't have to sell the land? Mm-hmm. What can we do so that maybe we could gift that land to that child and their family to put a house on?
Right. And what can we do for all the money that comes in now to make it work harder for us? I was talking with a gentleman the other day, very proud that he and his family and his operations haven't had to use a bank loan for their operating expenses. So they've simply just paid out of their account to do that.
Right.
Very noble, 100%, right? Because then there's no interest to be paid.
There's no interest.
Yet the money that they spend out of pocket will never earn any growth ever again either. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, but at the same time, one psychologically feels better, but it's very short term. And when you are able to exercise the mindset of the infinite banking concept with the right financial tool that Lacy and I are licensed to structure and be able to help any individual or family operation, it honestly is a game changer where you can take your dollars today and make it work harder, but make it so that you can keep it and also start to feel a sense of peace of mind so that because this individual that I talked to, their operation that they run works really, really well, but it supports one family. And the desire to really help their 3 children is by putting themselves on the line by buying another piece of land when they're so close to paying off their original. So it's almost like a bit of a double-edged sword, because if you're almost done paying mortgages on 2 different properties, that means there's more cash flow to come in, which means more profit. And also the ability, when you're edging so close to retirement, that it's that close, but yet your kids are not going to be able to get into this without a lot of struggle. Yeah. So they're looking at, instead of being $500,000 away from being completely mortgage free, they're now looking at getting into another 1.2 million in mortgage to be able to maintain having their children stay in the business with them, but also have that support as well. But that's taking on a bit of a risk. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when you have all the right elements in place that we share through the work that we do, it's worth taking a look at.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it till the cows come home. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And I know that I'm forever grateful that Reed was the motivator behind, hey, let's look into this. This actually sounds like something that we've been looking for. And we are making a difference, and we are creating something. And this is one comment we get, well, it's not going to benefit me. No, it's benefiting us immensely, but it's also going to benefit the next generation too. And then the next generation, like generations to come, like we're impacting this to where those generations are going to be able to say, because of what they started, we get to do XYZ, or, it's easier. I think Mary Jo says this all the time. The goal is not to leave them rich and spoiled. Mm-hmm. It's just, prepare them and set them up better than they can set themselves up.
100%. There is nothing wrong with doing our best to leave this world in a much better place. And I believe that more people that have the ability to operate from a place when they're not just surviving from paycheck to paycheck, it makes such a huge difference in mentality and what you can contribute and what you can give back to your community when you feel like you're not having to always struggle and live from paycheck to paycheck. Having more people on this planet that can actually has a vision, who are coming from a place of hope, that's better. That's better than constantly leaving a legacy behind where it's just like, okay, fend for yourself because I had to.
Yeah, because it never is a good feeling when you feel like you have no options, right? So if we can be the change, we can start the change, then our kids have the option. Maybe they want to come back, maybe they don't. I mean, whatever floats their boat, really. Mm-hmm. But at least that option is there, because when we're left with feeling like we have no options, that's when life can start feeling real heavy. And we can get off of our baseline, as Brett Gardner says.
Well, and when we feel like we're out of options, we end up doing things that we wouldn't want to do that are perhaps outside of our own values as well. Any one of us can be pushed if we feel like we have no options to do something that we wouldn't normally do. Mm-hmm. And so let's not allow ourselves to get to that place, right? And it really does start with us. And that's how we can solve the greater issue of things that we cannot change, like cloned meat being on the marketplace. But little by little, the more of us that are empowered, where we can get our grip and we can self-finance as a community, we can start to take back the power from the government. But it has to start with each and every one of us being able to stand on our own 2 feet by ourselves and not having to rely on the government or anybody else to get us there.
Yeah, absolutely. So earlier this week, I spoke to a gentleman who said, I just have a small operation. So like, does this still apply to me? And yes, it doesn't matter whether you farm 10 acres or 10,000 acres, you have 10 cows or 1,000 cows. the concept can still apply. It still does apply. So don't get caught up in the, well, so-and-so are doing it, but their net worth is like through the roof and mine is like through the tank. Don't make decisions that you don't know the answers to, because it doesn't matter what size of the operation you have. Like you can still make that difference in your own operation. The concept still applies.
Yeah, it's never a great idea to compare yourself with others, ever.
Comparison is the thief of joy, and I tell myself that almost daily.
Hey, I was just listening to that same chapter in The Gap and the Gain.
I wasn't actually listening to that book this week, but that is a saying that I have carried with for a lot of years. Comparison is the thief of joy. And anytime I start to look somewhere else, I just remind myself comparison's the thief of joy. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped wearing my Apple Watch, because I don't want to be alerted 14 times when so-and-so finished their workout when I've been told that I need to rest right now. So don't compare yourself.
Yeah, it's not a healthy or an empowering place to be from. Like, just start from where you're at and take pride in how far you've come. And if you have a small operation, celebrate that and work on making it the best that it can be. With that being said, I know sometimes it's a lot easier to wrap our minds around how it works by having a story to work from. And the Farm Without the Bank Canadian version of this, the case study sections in chapter 13, is such a great, stellar place to start. You want to read all the chapters leading up to it, because then you understand it's a building block. It builds into each other. But once you get to the case studies, it's so worth it, because then you can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what's super exciting now is that we have the audio version. So when you go to ranchyourway.com and order the book, you're actually going to get both. You're going to get the copy that you see behind me and Winnie, but you're also going to get the audiobook. So whatever suits your learning style, if you're driving, you're in the tractor, the feed truck, whatever it might be, or you have a long road trip, you can listen to the audio version, but then you can also come back and review the hard copy, because you will want to look at the chapter 13 that has the case studies. So ranchyourway.com, get your book. That's where your journey starts. You can watch us on YouTube if you like watching podcasts like I do, Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Go over there and leave us a 5-star review. Thanks, guys.
So glad you leaned in with us on the Winnie podcast. We truly hope you're feeling more informed and empowered to take another step towards optimizing your financial life. Right now, make sure you hit subscribe so you can keep growing and learning with us. Until next time, we wish you prosperity in every area of your life.